Hello and welcome to CIA. My name is Mayank, and in this video I will show you how to get started with n8n. In the previous two videos I have shown you how to prepare the server for n8n and how to install n8n itself. So basically you will learn how to create your own workflows, how to use if node, loop node, what are the ways to get started with a workflow, how you can configure your workflow so they are running on their own, how to create webhooks so you can integrate n8n with external applications as well. What I will not cover in this video is n8n's code node because that requires a separate video, and n8n's AI node because that also requires a separate video. I will be bringing those videos soon, so please make sure to subscribe. And for now, let's go to the screen and get started with this one. Okay, so I'm in my local n8n instance, and here as you can see, this is the basic view of your n8n. So after you log in, this is what you get, and here you can see workflows, credentials and executions. So let's get started with the workflows first. So I will go and create a new workflow. In here you get an empty canvas. When you want to click this add first step, it will ask you for some triggers. So trigger is a mechanism to start your workflow and process your nodes. So basically n8n workflow is structured in somewhat this manner. This is your n8n. In there we have triggers which are used to initiate the workflow, like schedule, webhook or execute workflow, which can be executed from another workflow. And then you have some nodes which you can connect together to create your workflow and do something or automate something. So let's jump back to the n8n, and here I will start with the trigger manually. So what you can do here now, once you have added this, you get a lot of options which are categorized into these categories. AI I will not cover in this app. Then you can do some actions, and you have really a lot of nodes which lets you connect various applications. In my Mautic tutorials, I have already shown some examples how to use HTTP node or how to use Mautic node and how to authenticate that. So you get a lot of options. You can choose whatever you want. So let's go, and in this video I just want to show you around. So I will go with the very basic stuff. So let's start with the data transformation. So you have some popular ones like code. This lets you execute JavaScript or Python code, but you should know about the code for that. If you are a non-developer and you just want to use n8n for automating your everyday tasks and you don't know how to code, well, you can skip this, but in the next video I will show you extensively how you can use this code node. So for that you can subscribe. Now date and time, you can basically manipulate date and time. So let's say you want to get current date. Let's keep it very simple. I will just get current date and execute this. It will show you this is the current date. And in the next step, again, let's add date. You can search all the nodes, by the way, date and time. And now I will say format the date. So on the left side, it will show you what is your input for this node. And on the right side, it shows you what is the output for this node. So let's say we want to use this date and we want to format this. So what you will do is you will just drag and drop here, and it will look something like this. So this is called expression in n8n. So as you see, when I moved the date from here to here on this field, so it changed from fixed to expression. This expression basically allows you to write some of the JavaScript within this field and manipulate something, but we will stick out of the JavaScript or coding and see absolutely no code way to use n8n. So now you have some options for the format, or you can define your own custom format as well. But let's say we just want to use this format. Okay, so you can change the output field name as well. And then we execute this step and you get the formatted date. So you can compare the current date was this and formatted date was this. So this is a very basic workflow and how you structure it. Once you have workflow created, you can use other ways to execute it. For example, let's go to the executions first. By the way, in this video, I will not cover the evaluations. For that, we will keep a separate video. So when you go to the execution, it shows all your execution history. You can see initially we just had this date and time, and then we added another node and it became date and time, and then we did the formatting as well. So this is showing you all your execution history. So let's go back, and now I don't want to execute this manually. I want to execute it on its own. So you have a trigger called schedule trigger. In this schedule trigger, you get some options where you can schedule how and when your workflow has to execute. As you can see, we have the option second, minutes, hours, days, weeks, and so on. So let's go to seconds, and I have set it to execute every 5 seconds. Okay, so let's now I will connect this schedule trigger to this, and I will save this workflow. It will not start executing on its own unless you activate this workflow. For manual, you don't need to activate, but if you are using webhook node or schedule trigger, you have to activate the workflow for them to work. So I will activate the workflow, and let's go to executions and see if it is executing every 5 seconds. As you can see, it did execute and notes the time 12:305 and then 12:310. So this is executing. As we can see, our schedule trigger is working. So I'll turn it off for now, go back, and I will disconnect this node and deactivate this from here. We'll deactivate this one here as well. And now let me show you another one, which is webhook node. So this is our webhook node. There are two options here. You can respond immediately like this one, respond immediately, or you can choose to respond when the last node finishes, or you can choose to respond using webhook node. So for now, I will just choose when the last node finishes. Okay, and now it is telling you which response do you want to return. I will choose all entries. So we will get this date on, let me just put them away. Okay, so I've connected the webhook node. This is the URL that you can use, and this is the HTTP GET method. You can choose whatever method you want to use. For now, I will leave it to get, and I will say, let's rename this to part 2 get date, because we are getting the date. You can choose authentication. For now, I will keep it none. So for now, let's say we want to go to production URL, and I will copy this. I will save this, and let's go to the new tab, and I'm entering. And this says that the requested get was not found. It is not registered. Why this is the case? Because we have not activated this workflow. Let's activate it and then go back and refresh. And now you can see that we got the formatted date, which was the last node. You want to see this in the execution? You can go here. As you can see, this was the webhook. We did not get any parameters or query or body in the request. And then it fetched the date time, and this was the last node where you got the formatted date, and formatted date was returned. Now, instead of using when last node finishes, you can use immediately, and it will just respond immediately, and you will not get any data in the outcome. This is good if you just want to trigger something which you want to execute in the background, and you don't require any data output from that. So now if I just refresh, it will tell me that workflow was started. But if I go here and execute and see that everything was executed, but it did not return the data because we were returning the control immediately. There is one more option with the webhook. It's called respond to webhook. So all the options that we had initially in here, instead of immediately when we were choosing when last node finishes, so we get all those options in the respond to webhook node. So in here we have set it to respond to webhook, and here you can choose what you want to return. There are multiple options. You can choose all incoming items or first incoming items, or you can respond something custom as well, for example this. So if I now save it and refresh, I will get that custom JSON that I had set. So I have told you about 3 types of triggers which are mostly used, but you have multiple type of triggers as well. You have all these triggers like on chat message, on executed by another workflow. This one I also want to show you when executed by another workflow. So you don't need to keep this activated. I will disconnect the webhook, and by the way, at a time you can also make sure that there are multiple. You can also trigger it using multiple trigger nodes. Let's say it accepts all data. That's just for the initiation. And now, so execute workflow, and you see it is executed. Let's give it a name, get date. and I will leave it as inactive because for this trigger you don't really need to activate the workflow. And I will create a new workflow, and here I will trigger it manually, and I want to get date, so I will say execute sub workflow. This lets me call other workflows within this instance of n8n. So here from the workflow I can choose get date, save it, and we execute it, and as you can see it returned us the formatted date. Now there are two options, and I will add a wait here. Wait node will wait for some particular time. I will save it again, and let's go to our new workflow, and now I will execute it again. So as you can see, this is executing because the other workflow which we created, it took some time to execute. If you go in the history and see, it took almost 5-second wait before it responded. Otherwise it was just taking 6 milliseconds to respond. In the execute workflow, we have an option where we want to wait or not want to wait for sub workflow to finish. So we can just disable this, and in this case what will happen is it will respond immediately, not waiting for the other workflow to finish, so we don't get the data. But if you want to see that other workflow, it did complete and it took 5 seconds, but we did not get any data back in here. Okay, so that's second basic. Now let me show you what are the credentials. So let's say I just don't want to format any date, but I want to read some date from the database, and then I want to format it. So let me add, you have multiple options, like you have MySQL, or you have Postgres, or you can use Google Sheet, or whatever you want. There are so many nodes, you can explore them. So in this case, I will show you MySQL only. So let's say I want to use MySQL. So in this case, I have a MySQL node, and now before we can do something here, we need to create a credential, because right now this n8n node doesn't know which database to connect. So let's go and create a credential. So I have a MySQL running on my local host, so I will just give it a name, MySQL local. This is running on my local host database. Let's connect to Mautic database. I have a database called Mautic 4. Then I will use root because I don't remember the password of the Mautic. Now that's it. Let's save it. And as you can see, the connection was successfully created. And now the credential is selected here. And now if I want to execute some SQL, you have multiple options. You can write your own custom query, or you can use some of the options that are provided. So let's say I just want to see the leads. I don't want to return all of them, or let's go for 5 of them. So I will show you the loop also, how loop works. And you have option to add some condition, but in this demonstration I just want to show you how this is working. So I will not add any condition, and let's just execute it. So now we got 5 items as we set here. So you have 3 views here, schema, table, and JSON. Schema is basically created based on the JSON. So all the fields that you have in your JSON object, schema will show them here. If you go to the table view, it will show you in this view. And now let's go further. And what I want to use is, I just want to format these dates with already existing date time nodes that we have. So let's just remove this, and I will directly connect it to date and time. Now in the date and time, because we removed the previous node, we don't have this current date anymore. So, but we don't care about this. We do have this date added field. So let me just add here. I will drag and drop date added, and then let's see if it works. And it works. So it gave you the formatted date that we had in here. What if you have to do something one by one? So for that, we have a node called loop. So it looks something like this. We don't need the done part, but we need to connect this to the loop part. So let's go here, and now In the loop, you can set the number of items you want to process at once. So right now the batch size is 1, so it will loop 5 times. So like this. Right now it just executed once because I have to complete the loop. So I just want to show you the input and output. So instead of 5 items which we got from here, in the loop you just got 1 item, and date operation was performed on just 1 item. Now let me connect it back, and this will complete the loop. So now I execute, and you see it ran 5 times. So we have 5 different executions of the loop. If you change the batch size to, let's say, 2, then you will get 3 loops. As you can see, now we have 3 times. So each time we got 2 items, and last item was in the 3rd execution. So this is how the loop is working. Let me save this and clear execution. So now it has cleared the execution, and now we can run fresh. So I have 5 items. I just want to get something where the owner ID is 1. If the owner ID does not exist, then I don't want to process that item. So what I can do here is, we have 2 ways to do that. One, you can add the if condition here. So in the if condition, what we can do is, we can go to schema, or you can also drag it from table, by the way. So we have the owner, and we want to see if owner, you can choose exists, or you can choose is equal to. So right now if I know the owner ID, I can use this, but let's say our condition is simple, that if owner exists, then we want to proceed, otherwise we don't want to proceed. So let's execute, and now you will notice that we only got 1 item outside of the if node. We had 5 inputs but 1 output, and everything else went to the false. So you can see where the owner matched, which is 1, we got it in the true branch. Everything else went to the false branch. So you can put it either here, or you can loop over this and put it here as well. But in this case, it is a little bit inefficient because you are checking every item 5 times instead of checking them all at once. Okay, so this stopped here because the condition evaluated to false, and we did not connect this false branch back to the loop. So let me add it there. And now you see 4 times it went into the false branch and looped, and 1 time it went to the correct or true branch and then provided the date for formatted date. There is one more node which I want to show you, which is going to be very useful for you, and probably that's the most important node while you are working or connecting various applications together in your automation. And here I want to show you HTTP node. So using HTTP node, basically you are making HTTP requests to anything. So if I say HTTP / and simply execute this, it will simply fetch me the home page of the Google. So now let me give you more examples by combining this. So I will open a new instance of n8n. Let's create some APIs. So we will start with the webhook node, and we will always use respond to webhook node to send out the data. This is a get. So let's say get item. Let me create some duplicates. I will just show you get and put. So get and post, sorry. I will show you get and post. So let's see. So here, let's say add item. Okay, right now I have no authentication, but let's just say I'm using set node. This is one of the node where you can add your custom values. We call it set items. And by the way, you can add ID here, for example, to just show you the number. So number, let me call it 1 is active. You can call it Boolean. Let's say it is active. And now respond to webhook. I want to return all incoming items from the previous node. So this is our simple get, and now let's say post. So I will add a simple if node. Let's say if the ID is this, I want to return something. Otherwise, I want to return something else. I will set this to is not equal to 1 because we already created this ID and this is just an example. So let's say in this one, we say item already exists, item created. But if the value is 1, then we will say item already exists if the ID is 1. Right? So very simple. Now this will accept post request and that will accept get request. Save. I will have to activate this because we are using webhook node. So let's copy this production URL from here and go back to our HTTP node. Okay, so in the get, I will put the URL get item and let's execute. And as you can see, we got what we had set in the item set item nodes. So let's see the execution history, and you can see this was a plain get request with no queries, and it returned this item. Okay, so the get is working. Let's test the post as well. So I will just create a duplicate. You can do that by Control D, and in here, let's make this a post request, and the URL was add item. We don't need authentication. We will just send the body. You have multiple options here. So I will just use JSON, and I will add JSON like this. Let's send the first ID. Execute. It says that item already exists. Now let me add something else, and it says item created. So it was executed properly, right? So if I go in the executions here and see what we received. So in this case, we received body with ID 2, and accordingly it was branching. And the other case, we received body with ID 1, and accordingly it went to the false branch. So this is how your HTTP node also works. So right now we had no authentication in place, and you could just make the request. So now let's say we want to create some authentication. So let me start with header auth. So I will create a new credential, and let's call it dummy header. Give it a name, let's say name, and give it a value, let's say test. Save it. So now if you want to make a request to this endpoint, you will have to provide authentication, this header auth. So let's go back here, and now let's try it out. Right now, as you can see, there is no authentication. I will execute and I will get forbidden authorization data is wrong. So we need to pass authorization. So I will go for generic credential type for now and header auth. So let's create one. Same. You need to give a name and value. So value was test, I think. Save it. Let's give it a try, and you got the result. Now we can see that the header authentication is also working. You have some other options for authentication also, and you have some predefined credentials type as well. So because there are so many nodes in n8n, n8n allows you to define the authentication directly for those particular nodes. Then we go to the settings part. So right now there is no error handler. So I have just created this very simple error handler. I have added the error trigger here. So then you need to go to settings, and in here choose error handler as your error workflow. Then save it. And if you activate, and by the way, what I did was I actually just deformed this URL from get item to get item ASDF. So this is going to throw some error. So now this is activated. If you go to executions, as you can see, we are getting a lot of errors. And in case of errors, if we go to error execution and we see that every time there is an error, the control is redirected to this this workflow. And if I go here, it will give you all the information about the execution, what went wrong. So for example, it is giving you execution ID, it is giving you the URL and timestamp and description and all the information that you may need to handle your error properly. So right now I've just set it like this, but you can send email notification or you can log this error in the database. Whatever you prefer with this error, you can do that. So that's it about this video. If you find this video helpful, please make sure to like, and if you have any queries, put them in the comments below. And to learn more about n8n, more tech and much more, please make sure to subscribe to this channel. Thank you.